Chapter 8: The Deception of Power. Power in this realm is defined as the influence of an individual or multitude upon another, and all philosophers concur that power is exercised through time. And God has given Satan power of earth's rule, but only for a short time. Revelation 12:12. And God has given each man power over his own choices. For the choice has been to yield to God's power or to succumb to the power of Satan. Yet many have chosen the deceptive power of Satan and have forsaken the righteous power of God. Thus God shall give their children over to famine and deliver them up to the power of the sword. Jeremiah 18:21. And Satan's power can be had by each man, and his power can be had by each man through authority, coercion, force, persuasion, or manipulation. For power can be had by a man through authority, which is the power that is advanced from a superior. And Haman was given authority to destroy all the Jews. Esther 3:1. And power can be had by a man through coercion, which is the power to control others through threats. For Laban would attempt to coerce Jacob. Genesis 31:29. And power can be had by a man through force, which is the power of violating another. Genesis 34:1. And power can be had by a man through persuasion, which is the power of the weak to influence the powerful. For Haman would persuade the king to persecute God's people. Esther 3:9. And power can be had by a man through manipulation, which is the power that is exercised through deceit. For the beast of the sea has manipulated the nations. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, everyone whose name has not been written from the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who has been slain. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is destined for captivity, to captivity he goes. If anyone kills with the sword he must be killed. Revelation 13:8. And power can be had by a group through authority, coercion, force, persuasion, or manipulation. For authority can be had by a group. For authority was given to the Egyptians over his people. Exodus 3:8. And coercion can be had by a group. For Israel was coerced to flee from the Chaldeans. Then all the people, both great and small, and the captains of the forces arose and went to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldeans. 2 Kings 25:25. And force can be had by a group. For Assyria forced Israel to be exiled from the land. 2 Kings 17:22. And persuasion can be had by a group. For the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to sentence Christ to death. For the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to put Jesus to death. Matthew 27:20. And manipulation can be held by a group. For earth's merchants have manipulated the earth for its wealth. Revelation 18:15. For the world has been influenced by the power of the nations and its leaders, and Satan has given them his authority one last time. For power has been laid by its leaders through coercion and force, and its merchants have persuaded them to manipulate their power for wealth. For power has been manipulated for capitalistic gain. For a merchant seeks to increase capital, which is the accumulation of currency and goods, which is propagated by selling goods to the people. But capitalism has been fornicated by manipulation and deceit, and a great chasm has been created between the wealthy and the poor. They bend their tongue like their bow, Lies and not truth prevail in the land, for they proceed from evil to evil, and they do not know me, declares the Lord. Jeremiah 9:3. For the power of capitalism has given great power to the merchant, and the power of the merchant has been exploited through oil. For as the prophecy said, you have journeyed to the king with oil and increased your perfumes. You have sent your envoys a great distance, and made them go down to Sheol. Isaiah 57:9. For the power of capitalism depends on the ability to generate goods, and the power to generate goods relies on the power of energy. And energy is powered primarily through oil, and most of our country's energy is derived from oil, and over 1/3 of our oil is imported from the Middle East, and all of this oil is transported through the Suez Canal, which transverses through Egypt. For as the prophecy says, he multiplies lies and violence, moreover he makes a covenant with Assyria, and oil is carried to Egypt. Hosea 12:1. Yet the energy needs of our country could have been met through self-reliance. And when oil was first utilized for capitalism, the U.S. held the power to control oil prices, for the surplus of world oil came from our country. During the period of industrial growth from 1940 until 1970, oil remained at $3 per barrel, despite the significant increase in world inflation. For the U.S. was able to suppress oil prices by controlling the supply that was available to the world. But in 1971, the surplus of oil in the U.S. was surpassed by the surplus of oil in the Middle East. And in 1973, following the Arab oil trade embargo, the price of oil quadrupled within a 6-month period. Thus OPEC and the Arab nations realized the power that they held over the oil market and the U.S. economy. And due to the increase in the price of imported oil, our government placed a cap on the price of domestic oil. However, the profit margins for domestic oil decreased, and the means for exploration and the incentive to look for alternative energy has hampered. Therefore, little progress has been made to use alternative energy. Yet the economic strength of other nations like China and India has increased, and the demand for energy has soared exponentially. And now that the strength of other currencies has increased, and now that the cost of the war has soared to over $600 billion, and now that the Federal Bank has devalued the dollar by paying our debts with printed money, and now that taxpayers are bailing out Chapter 11 corporations and defunct mortgage loans, and now that OPEC nations can exert their power, we are paying for that price through the price of oil. For as it was prophesied, the field is ruined, the land mourns, for the grain is ruined. The new wine dries up, fresh oil fails. Joel 1:10. And the sons of perdition had been given authority and power. For authority and power was given to the Bush administration, from the power of the dragon, who is Satan. Revelation 13:1. And now authority has been given to the beasts of the earth, who is the Antichrist. For authority has been given to Maqtada el-Sadr. Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. He exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence. Revelation 13:11. And at the end all authority shall be given to Satan, and all earth's power shall be given to the beast, which is time. Revelation 17:12. Then comes the end, when he hands over the kingdom to the God and Father, when he has abolished all rule and all authority and power. For he must reign until he has put all his enemies under his feet. The last enemy that will be abolished is death. 1 Corinthians 15 and 24.